Okay, coming to you at about 10:30, almost at night, and had to get my video in. I'm still trying to figure out where I can put my videos in and create my videos, because normally I do them during my first break, and lately it's been rainy weather or it's been really hot. I can't, the lunch and third break are pretty difficult to work with here, because I mean it's hot outside sitting under that sun and making videos. And as you can see, I wear, black. So, I'm going to go outside and I'm going to sit in the sun in black. Well, I'll figure something out. I'm not sure yet. Hasn't been my priority right now to figure out that part yet, but I digress. So, this shift was really massive and it was really cool. I wanted to share this insight, this aha moment, and really bring up what is recently happening and just kind of share my ahas. I like to share my breakthroughs because it, might help others. But, okay. So, during this shift, I started to realize that I have been keeping my guard up, like a armor, that I put my armor on so I know who I am. I think that's how it goes. Not 100%. I'm not exactly the best with words, but remembering the exact lyrics for something. But if you know it, put it in the comments below, because yeah, I need to get better at that one. But yeah, that I put my armor on part, just so real, because when you have always been armored up, it's hard to even realize that you still have the armor up. It's hard to see the armor because it's just who you are. It's become an identity that isn't your identity, and so therefore you think it's you. And so I think personally, and this is what I'm realizing about society and the dating culture in society, is that so many of us have armored up. Me, I don't think I've ever de-armored until now. So it was something that it just was there regardless, because I had this bouncer, this personal Sheena, that was standing there at guard, not letting anybody in, because I would only let people into a certain point and then kept them at arm's length, because of the fact that it was that fear, and it was just not knowing what to expect from real love, or even just friendships or anything of that sort. It just was to be loved, period. I didn't know what to expect, so I just had that guard up, the bouncer there, checked at the door, ready to go, and nobody got in, whether it was good or bad. Sometimes the bad ones would get in, and sometimes, and then I'd have to kick them out again. But and I used good and bad loosely. I'm just saying the people that were not for my best, they didn't have my best interests at heart. Sorry, I got the heater over here and it's right too close. So I have this bouncer, and she is at the gates, ready to, kick anybody out that needs to be kicked out. And that part of me was running on like super speed. It just, she was back there, constantly in that surveillance mode, watching and, taking notes, and that survival mode of like constantly checking to make sure that it's not someone that they're not trying to, making sure I have the upper hand, and, constantly in just this protection mode. And it took me a while to really catch on to the fact that that was running so rampant in my computer files. Like, it was just there, always, like Norton virus protection in a way for my brain. And so it took me a minute to really fully understand this, and then connect it to the fact that having that running all the time, I was already on guard and expecting the worst. Okay? And so I felt like I had to be involved in power plays with other people, whether it was like friendships or even just talking to other guys and possibly, making a connection with someone else. So it was like the firewall was up, and I was scanning for viruses nonstop. And finally, I had to realize that I had to let go of that fear, and I had to let go of, truly being seen, and I had to let go of worrying on whether or not if I let someone in, will I get hurt. Like, when I say like this has been running for a while, it's like a virus that has been running and going and going and going, and I have been constantly fighting to keep myself safe. But I haven't been keeping myself safe. I have been not allowing people to get close to me. And so with that, I had to let go of the thoughts of being scared of it. So I had to let go of being afraid of getting hurt, and being afraid of being seen completely. And it's a weird feeling. It's a very weird feeling, because it's, for so long I fought to, be the person to have the upper hand. Until now, where I don't care if I have the upper hand or not. I'm not going to overreact. I'm at a state now in my own knowledge of self that I'm not going to overreact. I'm not going to overthink. I'm not going to, of course, like, I'll have moments, don't get me wrong, but I'm not going to go to extremes. I'm not going to push. I'm not going to control. I'm going to be there. I'm going to show up in the present moment and be completely vulnerable and honest and transparent as possible. If I don't understand something, I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to... I'm not going to try and people please and agree with things that I don't agree upon. But I'm also very willing to listen to other people's perspectives and see if they give me anything new that changes my perspective or even adds to mine. Because it's not that I'm saying that I can be controlled and changed and everything like that on my opinions. It's the fact that I'm never completely set in one way of thinking, because new information can change things completely. But being this way, it was so interesting, because I saw this, like the bouncer, the Norton virus, Sheena virus protection 2.0. I saw this stuff, and it was like, why have I kept that running for so long? Well, because it served a purpose. That was a piece of me that during this transition was dying. That part of me was being what's the word I'm looking for? Hold on. Was being deconstructed. There we go. That little piece, like that code, was being deconstructed, and from that piece of code that was being deconstructed, you're good. What was happening was I was taking pieces of it, bits and pieces of it, and I'm going to use parts of it. Like, I'm going to still be observant, but not hypervigilant. I'm still going to protect myself, but I'm not going to overly protect myself. And I'm not going to just let someone in and be like, okay, I'll believe everything you say and be naive. It's not that. But it is taking little pieces from it and using it to rebuild this newer version of myself. After finding that piece and having to now, reconstruct myself back into who I am right now. Like, it's not all completely finished, don't get me wrong, because I just figured this out now. So we're still in the building process. But it's really interesting to see the fact that, okay, that piece has had a purpose. That piece was there to protect me. And I am so grateful for that piece of me. That piece of me was still a part of me, was still a past version of myself. And that past version of myself played a role that was very important to me getting to this point. I love that past part of myself, and I would not change anything about that past part of myself, but that past part of myself no longer serves a purpose for me anymore now. That past version of myself is hindering my growth and not allowing me to become the best version of myself that I can be. And so, because of that, I have to let her go. It's kind of like people that come into our lives and they're not helping us in any way, sort of form. They're actually stopping us from getting to a better place. So with that, we have to say, hey, this relationship is no longer working anymore and we can't continue this. So we need to go our own separate ways. That's the adult version. And sometimes if you're still in the early stages and it's still toxic, ghosting always works too. It is another possibility. If you can't have an actual conversation with them and it's a equal, conversation, then, so be it. But the point that I'm making on this one is the fact that because of me, having this aha kind of moment, this realization of who I am going to now start building into and start taking and building upon those bricks and everything like that to become this person, it has brought in like a new person into my life that is, I would say, of equal, I don't even know what, like, of equal levels, I guess, is the best way to kind of explain it. Someone that I'm very, I have a lot of similarities with. And so it's just interesting how quickly, like, when you level up and you change who you are and you become a better version of yourself and you're committed to becoming a better version of yourself, the different kind of people that will start to actually like appear into your life to match. I was going to say meet and match. I don't even know. Meet you at the level that you're at. And so it was such an aha moment. And it's not like, okay, so like I was talking about with the dating field and everything like that, the toxicity of what is in the dating field right now is that so many people are stuck in this place of protection mode where they don't want to get hoodwinked again. They don't want to get bamboozled again. You know, they don't want to be gobsmacked anymore. You know, they're like, well, this last relationship, see, this one was a doozy, like, and they hold on to this story of what happened before. And so they've got the bouncer sitting there ready to bounce anybody out of their life for protection. And I was that person. I did. Like, if I saw red flags, it was like, hocus pocus, bitch be gone. And, you know, not exactly great, but at the same time, you know, it still was fair in the context of, you know, I wasn't exactly probably the best, like, version of myself, and they weren't either. So we really weren't supposed to, but that, you know. So why I bring this up is because of the fact that so many people are having that protection, gotta be strong, gotta hold the fort down, you know, all of that kind of stuff. Now, I am in no means looking to settle down right away in any way, sort of form. I'm still, you know, talking to people. And I say talking to people because that's where I'm at. Because I am taking things as slow as possible. I have learned from many mistakes, you know, not to try and rush things. I've also learned, you know, some people, me being the age that I am, some people struggle with the older woman kind of mentality. And I've been attracting a lot more of the younger men. And so some people struggle with my age, and some people struggle me being 40, and then some people struggle with me being, you know, a mother of 3 children, my oldest going off to college, you know, so and that's okay, you know, I'm okay with that, because if that's something that bothers you, then, you know, then we don't need to. But with this whole thing with the bouncer and everything like that, I think a lot of people have that bouncer ready to go, and that bouncer is kind of like overly protecting them, and it's because of the fact that we don't want to get hurt again. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, but I don't want to get into another narcissistic relationship where I get, you know, used and abused and confused, you know? Nobody does. But whenever we are looking for that and we are afraid of finding that again, one, we're going to call that in automatically because we're like, universe, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. And the universe is like, okay, you want that. Let's go. Okay. On top of the fact that when you're looking for red flags, you are going to find red flags. Okay. When you are searching for them, like, it's like, okay, we're looking for all the yellow cars. Oh, we're going to find a shit ton of yellow cars now because that's what we're looking for. It's just like that. So, it's okay if there are red flags. It's about looking at them and really weighing them out, but not just looking for red flags. Looking for green flags as well. Looking for, positives. Okay, looking for, do we have similar values? Can we have a decent conversation where it's not a whole, let me dominate you by either side. Like, let my ego be in this place and let me show you how smart and beautiful and handsome and like, I am such a catch and like that kind of stuff. It's not about that. We're not playing this like those childish games of back and forth of, let me get you all worked up by flirting with this other person just to get a reaction out of you, just so that it makes me feel like you want me. We're not playing these games. That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's letting go of control of how it should look and how it should happen and letting it just happen. Being there in the present moment and becoming aware of like when that moment arises to how to respond. And not even like being ready to respond. It's about responding authentically in the moment. And so many of us are so afraid of being seen and being authentic that we put on this like peacock show. You know what I mean? Putting on our best mask, going to the masked ball and just putting on this beautiful performance of like how chill we are, or almost burnt my freaking leg on that thing. I have to turn off that. Give me just a second. I gotta turn off the heater before like I have burn marks on my leg. Okay. There's a metal bar right here on my chair, and I'm awake now. I have a burn mark on my leg. Okay, so I don't even remember where I was left off at, but we'll just sum it up because we're almost hitting 30 minutes. But so with the fact that we're all in this kind of like, I gotta protect myself, so I'm gonna put on this facade so that I can't be seen and, act a certain way just so that we're not seen as weak or, anything less than what we want to be seen as. On top of the fact that feeling like we have to prove something to the other person, whatever it may be. And also not making snap judgments. I think that's a big one is, don't judge a book by its cover. I love that saying, by all means. And not being afraid of, this is a big one. This is a really big one. Not being afraid of speaking our opinions, not with like intensity, but like just saying what we think and we feel, and not being afraid that it's going to offend the other person, because if it does, then it does. then that's the type of person that you can just walk away from. And that's whenever the bouncer doesn't have to be a bouncer, but can kind of like shoo the person out. You know what I mean? Because you don't have to have a bouncer anymore. You can just have, someone at the door ready to just kind of like lead them out. You don't need force anymore. You don't have to be afraid of someone hurting you, because you're strong enough in who you are and knowing what you want and what you don't want and what you will put up with and what you won't put up with. And you are sure in who you are to know that you aren't going to get lost in this other person, or that you're not going to become codependent in this other person, or you're going to have your own like goals and desires and beliefs, and they can be different from another person, that they don't have to be exactly the same or even shared. Like, you can have alternate views on something. Like, you can have the same process that you both are working on and have whole different viewpoints of how you got there and the process in which you're getting there, but it's still the end result. It's still the same goal. It can be completely different, and you can have different ideas on what you see and label what, and that's okay. And it's amazing when you can finally have that and not feel like you have to like defend your honor and die on this hill, like you don't need to die on that hill over something so small and stupid, right? Like, you do not need to go down defending this like concept because you have to prove a point. You don't need to prove anything to this person. You don't need to prove how smart you are, or that you're a catch, or that you don't need to make them see anything, because they're going to see it or they're not going to see it, and that's okay. You're good either way. It's not really that big of a deal if they don't. You'll just move on. You're not holding out. You're not holding this person captive and you're like, you will love me and you will see me. You can't do that. I mean, you could try, but it's not going to go very well. You be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and crazy, and that person might get a restraining order against you, so I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it. But it's, once you can let that guard take a rest and, take a break, go out to lunch, maybe. I don't know what you're going to do with it, but it's letting go of it and knowing that you're going to be just fine, regardless of whatever happens, and you trust yourself enough to know how to handle the situation. So, I just wanted to share that with everybody because it was a really cool realization, and it was one of those things that like I'm grateful for, because now it's opened me up into a whole different level of being able to receive, because of the fact that before I just kept everything out because it was just safer that way, to protect myself and not let anything or anybody in. But now I have faith in myself, and I have faith in my abilities, and if someone comes in and I get hurt, then that's okay. I'll heal and move on, because I've had to do it already anyways with so many other things, so I'm fully capable of doing that. So I don't need to have that fear anymore. And, like my son always says, if they con you, they con you. Oh well, just move on. It's not that big of a deal. When it really isn't. You're the one that gets to decide whether it's a big deal or not. So, I'm going to let you guys go because it's time for me to go get ready for bed and get this out and, wake up in the morning and get back to work. So, I am sending much love and stay beautiful and stay blessed because you are both beautiful and you are blessed and I love you. Good night.